Hi, my name is Angie. We're here today talking with Gary Stuart, facilitator of family constellation work here in Southern California. And Gary, we've just been discussing some really wonderful things.
Yes.
Yes. I would like to know, can you give us a very detailed, specific example about what happens with the surrogates and the representatives who do the work, who agree to be part of a constellation session? And this would be for, say, I'm a person who's never seen the work
Yes.
before.
Yes. The great thing about using a surrogate, number one, I work blindly, so I don't tell the people in the room what we're working on. I talk with the client, we know what we're working on, prosperity issue, suffering issue, whatever it is, then I say pick someone to be yourself. Now, we're disengaging from the ego that way. So say she's a woman, she would pick a woman, and I tell her stand behind the woman. So for sake of example, think of the suffering, financial, you don't feel good, whatever it is you're working on tonight, think of that, everything we spoke of, and you want it resolved, and then just put her on the carpet, stand her in front in the middle of the room by herself, then you step away.
So nothing is said out loud, nothing is vocalized. The action of the client who has an issue they want to work on puts their hands on the shoulder of someone who's agreed to be a representative.
Yes, absolutely.
No words are spoken, but the thought comes through. I would like to work on, I would like you to represent my mother. I'd like you to represent my...
Whatever the case, generally we have the client start with themselves because they're the ones they're working. Then I usually see how that representative reacts to their field, and that's a thought field too. And then we see, oh my God, grief is showing up. Oh, they're weak on one side. Oh, they're falling over. And they can communicate. The representatives communicate whatever comes through. Now, if they had the information, traditionally a lot of facilitators would interview the person. Oh, so you're angry at your mother. Oh, you're angry you have no money. Okay, pick someone to be your angry mother and pick someone to be you who doesn't have money. You've already engaged the ego to recreate the story they just heard. By doing it blindly, we're quietly and sacredly going into the invisible dynamics of the thought field that embodies the client. Now, the touching thing doesn't have to be done. You could just point at someone and just say, would you represent for me? And it doesn't even, they don't even have to know who or what. But when you touch somebody, it's almost like a sacred. The person being touched says, I agree to use my body as a transistor in the invisible dynamics of your entire family system to help you solve this problem with money. Or whatever that they're working on. And then it's almost like you're volunteering a peace offering in a way. And then the field starts to open up to show us the invisible dynamics around the issue quite quickly, very quick. Most of the work happens in less than an hour. And last night, in less than an hour, we were back at the Spanish Inquisition, settling the score there, which is 500 years time travel, just in one person's current career issues that they're working on.
When you said that the ego is not engaged in doing the work blindly,
yes,
is that another way to say that the mind is not a part of this?
Yes, it is, because we are communicating with our senses, so to speak, but we're allowing a field of something unseen, the invisible dynamics of the life force. That's what we're unleashing here. That comes through our body. Why? Because we're a living organism. So we can report the senses that are happening. I have tickling and tingling in my feet. My feet feel heavy all of a sudden. And a lot of people come, oh, they're making it up. Then they're put in the field, they say, oh my God, this just wasn't in my body a minute ago. The field has taken them over. It's a very benevolent, it's quantum physicist Rupert Sheldrake calls it a morphogenic field. We're tapping into the life force of that person and their entire family system and the entire humanity all at the same time. That's how we have access to historical events.
So could we say that there is a kind of energetic field of an individual's family system?
Absolutely.
So there's different possibility. There's the possibility of different fields, say religious fields,
absolutely,
or cultural, national fields, family fields. Then you also maybe even individual
absolutely
energy fields. So there's different layers.
It's like a big gyroscope. Everything's spinning and intersecting together. Now, the irony of being a surrogate, you would pick person A to be you or whatever with your
Yes.
particular issues.
Yes.
Ironically, the person you picked has those same issues. So they're helping you heal, and at the same time, they're being healed by representing for you. And the whole room is learning something about humanity at the same time. So it's the true, most win-win workshop that I've ever experienced, because we all learn about humanity, we learn about human history, we learn about our own family, we learn about our own pain, we learn about your pain, which is the teacher about our pain. So there's just this cross-pollination of the most divine order, I think. It's like watching spirit work, basically.
Yeah. I've heard that you reminded me of a law I heard of long ago called the law of economy, that supposedly the divine natural order is to use this so-called law of economy, where there are multidimensional uses, multidimensional lessons in every moment, rather than just a single lesson
Right.
or a single layer of creation being utilized, but that there's many, many, many all being utilized in the same instant. So it sounds like that nature is by some kind of law.
Yes.
You know, using multidimensional layers to help us evolve and grow. And constellation work is all about natural
Yes,
laws.
absolutely. And that's the invisible order of nature. You could call that the law of economy. The great thing about it, when you really think of speaking of it in those terms, the field is taking us to the source of what the real source of the issue is, much quicker than the 1,000 ways we could go trying to figure it out. All of us are pretty smart, psychologically and otherwise, and we try to figure things out. Well, the ego will go crazy trying to figure everything out, but once we go in the field without any knowledge, boom, the answers are simple, they come fast, they reverberate. And don't forget, when one person's working, it's actually reverberating through the whole family system, living and dead.
So past, present, and future.
Past, present, future are all
being
affected
affected.
simultaneously. So when we resolve through a surrogate that great-grandmother's pain over a stillborn child, well, guess what? She's much happier in heaven, whatever realm she's in. You're much happier on earth, and you can go into your future without that burden.
And also another way to look at this process which you've just been describing is that the work is done holographically. It happens holographically. There's no human intention that can make that happen. It is part of the consciousness of the work that it happens holographically all on its own.
Yes, it's innate intelligence of a morphogenic field. The field of life knows everything.
And I'd like to add too quickly
Yes,
that
yeah,
as a participant in this work for a year and 9 months now, and being a representative many times, that I have to say that the opportunity to work with this field happens not just while you're working in a session, but it goes beyond that, and you can become more and more fine-tuned.
Absolutely.
Outside of the sessions that we do. You can become more and more aware of the subtle energies that exist moment to moment beyond the thinking mind. And this is, there's probably no greater asset that can happen to a person, no greater experience than to tune in, plug in, and get your spiritual guidance.
Absolutely.
And it's all as a result of working with this family constellation work, even as an observer.
Yes. Observers are
happens.
healed just by this woman with the Spanish ancestry. She was so moved, she just watched the work a week ago for the first time. Her week has been transforming every day just from what she watched other humans working on their issues. She was so enthralled with the healing she had by witnessing, she had to come back a week later and experience it for her own family systems field.
And Gary, you had this woman right at the end of the session do something that
Yes.
was wonderful. Can you give us
Yes,
that quickly?
yeah, just to quickly close so we have enough time here. At the end of that session, with a woman of Spanish descent, where we dealt with the conquistadors, in the closing circle, I happened to have a multicultural following of people of other races, Asian, African American. I had her get on her knees to say thank you to them for all their suffering. And she'd emailed me tonight and she said that just was life-changing for her. So in a way, by her being smaller, than the ancestral indigenous people, her bigger ancestors executed for Spain during that period of human history.